On January the 8th, Polperro's youngest fisherman, Daniel Keble, was lost at sea. This series, in which he took part, is dedicated to his memory.
Well, I don't care if you put me down, and I don't care if you play the clown. Years gone by and I'm still around, and I just want you to know I belong, I belong. Well, look me in the eyes and tell me I'm not true. I've always done the best that I can do. If it ain't enough, well, then I'm sorry for you. And I just want you to know I belong, I belong. Yeah, I belong. You got no time for me, well, that's alright. See, I don't want to argue, yeah, I don't want to fight. I'll go my own time, yeah, I'll be alright. But I just want you to know I belong, I belong.
There is a rhythm to village life, and it quickens at Easter. About 1,000 people live in and around Polperro, and most of them happy to do so. Polperro is a picture postcard, the most photographed fishing village in Britain and one of the oldest, although its so-called Roman bridge is of a much later origin. The local newsagent, Brenda Thomas, is an early customer in the bakery.
Right then? Yeah, fine, thanks.
Sorry about that.
Yes, thanks.
I get you down this morning.
I know, very busy.
Yeah.
Brenda was born in the village.
I wish this weather would perk up a bit, though.
Rob Lunn is a recent arrival. Rob may be the only lottery winner to have invested in a milk round.
I'm a very lucky man, very. I've been very fortunate, and I like to think I've invested a little bit in this business. I should keep it going as long as I possibly can. As long as people want me to deliver, I will always deliver. I was 8 years as a milkie up country in Hertfordshire, and my two brothers and myself, we all were milkmen at one point, and so really it's second nature.
With Easter comes a new tourist season and a lot of spring cleaning. But no amount of fresh paint can disguise the fact that Polperro isn't quite what it used to be. Once a thriving fishing port, there are only half a dozen working boats left in the harbour, and the fishermen have had to struggle to keep them going. Yet in many ways, the village is a much more comfortable place than it was in the so-called good old days.
We used to get coal vessels in here years ago with 250 ton of coal, because this village never had no electric light nowadays. No electric, no sewers, no bathrooms, no toilets. I can remember it all.
When we were young, we had the clothes and tap shoes and all kinds of things that you haven't got to do now when you're living in a throwaway age.
We never had no echo sounders nowadays, no radars, nothing. All we had was a boat. We used to have 2 engines, if possible, 2 engines, and we used to go out and rely on the gannets.
When it was very fine, we used to go out and fish. When it was very fine, we used to go out and fish. When it was very fine, we used to go out and fish. When it was very fine, we used to go out and fish. When it was very fine, we used to go out and fish. When it was very fine, we used to go out and fish. When it was very fine, we used to go out and fish. When it was very fine, we used to go out and fish. When it was very fine, we used to go out and fish. When it was very fine, we used to go out and fish. When it was very fine, we used to go out and fish. When it was very fine, we used to go out and fish. When it was very fine, we used to go out and fish. When it was very fine, we used to go out and fish. When it was very fine, we used to go out and fish. When it was very fine, we used to go out and fish. When it was very fine, we used to go out and fish. When it was very fine, we used to go out and fish. When it was very fine, we used to go out and fish. When it was very fine, we used to go out and fish. When it was very you would see bubbles coming up through the sea like ginger beer if there was a lot of fish under that particular spot. And then shoot the nets and hope for the best.
If the gannets used to go down straight, it was poachers. We went down schooling like that, it was mackerel. And we had to rely on that. We said, shoot our nets hundreds of times and never catch nothing.
There are very few fishermen that live in the village, you know. I think it's 4 or 5 is all that live in the village now, present.
You come down to the harbour almost every day, don't you, Edmund?
If possible, yes. That's my life, isn't it? That's what I've got left now. There's nothing else left.
Polperro is no longer self-reliant. Its income is largely derived from tourism. But the ceremonies of village life carry on regardless.
Welcome to the short Good Friday service before we walk across the Talland. And the soldiers led him away inside the palace, that is the Praetorium, and they called together the whole battalion, and they crucified him and divided his garments among them, casting lots for them to decide what each should take. Resounding all the day, hosannas to the King, then crucified.
The Church of England has given Polperro a new priest. The last one had a nervous breakdown and tried to commit suicide. But Father Bravener is optimistic about his ministry.
I'm not sure if I've got fences to mend so much as a lot of love and care to give to people.
Father William is a rather unlikely vicar. He was a chartered accountant before he decided to handle God's business. Pricewaterhouse's loss has been the church's gain.
They were quite stunned, as the people at work were, that I was giving up this career, you know, to go and train to be a priest. But I think they're far more interested in who you are and what kind of a faith you've got than what you've done.
The word is that you're an upwardly mobile priest, destined for great things in the FA. Does that mean you'll be leaving us soon?
Oh, I wouldn't have thought so. No, one of the marvellous things about the Church of England is that when you're installed as a vicar, you have what's called freehold. And I've assured many of the people in this parish that I can, if I want, stay here till I'm 70.
And here they are, the first visitors of the year, horse-drawn and bushy-tailed. Equally quick out of the traps, the cottage holidaymakers pulling wheelies through a slow-moving Easter parade of anoraks.
2 dozen hot cross buns, 6 in a bag. These are very hot.
Thank you.
Oh, all right then, go on then. There you go.
And then I would like a bone from our rock boiler.
Oh, yeah, bone for the rock boiler.
To entice visitors as they weave their way through Polperro's narrow streets are 20 gift shops. Too many by far for the volume of trade, says Ted Pilcher, owner of the village yokel.
A lot of people, I think, seem to see the cheaper end of the market, souvenirs and gifts, as what sells. It does take away some of my trade, obviously, but there's nothing you can do about it.
Have you ever felt that you were fed up with this and you just wanted to jack it in and do something else?
Yes. But what? Yeah, I want to stay in Polperro. I've got no qualifications. I'm very good at bookwork and things like that. And I'm sure I could make a living, but you've got the wife and family to think about.
Polperro's grocer, John Yaxley, is developing a new line for himself with a shop that specialises in machine embroidery. Now, what persuaded you, the village grocer, to start this business up?
Well, because I was rapidly not the village grocer. This shop and next door was a grocery shop. When we had like Safeways open at this garden and the large supermarkets, my trade was going down, down and down, and so it's a fact of diversifying. What do we do to be able to stay in a beautiful place like Polperro?
Irina Oxley also wants to stay in the village. Irina used to be a computer programmer at Moscow's Nuclear Safety Institute. Then she met Polperro photographer Vern Oxley on the internet, came here and married him. Since then it's all gone sour. He lost his job through illness, and without a settlement visa she can't work at all.
Oh, you got through to immigration again?
Yes, again I sent it to
Same message.
We appreciate that delays will cause inconvenience and can only apologize for this.
Oh, well, at least they're apologising this time.
Yes,
Makes a change.
yes.
You haven't had much luck, have you?
Not on that side, no, but far outweighed by the one piece of luck. Irina has been, you know, during this I've been literally laid up in bed. I've been in hospital for periods as well, and Irina has been to use an old phrase, the rock of my life, because without her I have severe doubts as to whether or not I could have got through it so easily.
With neither of you able to work, it must be a very stressful time for you.
Yes, it is.
How are you managing financially?
I can show you what I'm living off. This is sporty shoes. I bought them 3 years ago. This is Vons jeans. This is the jersey which I get as a present from my daughter.
That's right, your stepdaughter-in-law, yeah.
My stepdaughter-in-law. And I've got another few summer clothes. That's all.
Yeah.
My mother sent me a parcel with a winter coat and some clothes in winter.
So you're poorer in Polperro than you ever were back in Moscow?
Yeah.
Poor as some people may be, the village is a caring, compassionate place. More than 100 bags of clothing were collected for Kosovo refugees on Easter Saturday. In all, Pol raises £10,000 a year for charity, which is one of the highest per capita figures in Britain. To cater for the evening trade, Polperro has 8 pubs and clubs and more than 20 cafes and restaurants. Almost all of the restaurateurs are incomers who dreamt of changing their lifestyle. One of the newest restaurants in the village is Il Papagallo. It's owned by Wesley Cooper, a former truck driver from Leamington Spa, who came here 3 years with his girlfriend Denise Orange. Rumour has it that Wesley and Denise will either get married, go bust, or do both.
Sì, grazie mille.
Despite the best efforts of young Italian chef Roberto, Il Papagallo is not getting enough customers.
If this, at the end of the day, it doesn't work, we'll buy a big fat eye dinosaur, a big fat boy or a low rider, and we'll be off. I tried.
With me nervously sitting on the attic.
And that is the truth.
Denise realised it was a gamble, but she let her heart rule her head.
I really had quite a lot of anxieties about it. But in the end, I said, OK, let's try it. You really want to do it. I'm with you. I'll do it because you want to do it. And here we are, doing it, much to my amazement sometimes.
Can I ask you a personal question?
You may.
Are you going to get married?
I don't know.
Would you to? What do you think of him? Is he a good bet or not?
I think it's a pretty good bet, but I'm not sure.
Table for 2, is it?
Polperro also has a pizzeria, and here business is brisk. Too brisk for the chef.
Right, I'm here.
Okay. Help me. Tell me what's next.
What have you got in? Have you got Mike's order in?
Absolutely.
Robin and Gilly Davis met in London's Playboy Club, where he was the casino manager and she was a croupier bunny.
We have minimal overhead, minimal staff. We open when we want to. Doesn't always work right, and sometimes we make mistakes and we think, oh, Christ. I'm down the pub, having a good time, and the village is busy. And Gilly says, we've had 6 people up the steps, but we're not open. Oh, well, open tomorrow. Get it the next day.
Manana.
Yes.
You react to this, Gilly? Do you want him to open more often?
Not really, if we can survive not opening as much. I mean, I'm in total agreement with Robin, but sometimes I'm running the place on my own. It's a little bit of a pressure.
Oh, I pull my weight.
Well, I usually call Robin back from the pub when I've got about 3 tables full and
I like to run
served
it
half
from
the
the pub, I
restaurant.
must admit. I mean, Chili tends to phone me up and said, Robin, there's 6 people walked in. I go, oh, bugger. I always fancied being the bloke in the corner of the pub telling yarns, with a beard.
From a business point of view, how do you find him here?
Oh, absolute crap.
Do amplify.
If you're coming down here to make $1 million, forget it. Wrong reason for coming down. If you're coming down for lifestyle, you get a good lifestyle. If you enjoy the lifestyle, great.
One of the village's 2 choirs, the Porthpyra Singers, rehearse a song for Cornwall. They'll be performing it at the Polperro Arts Festival in June. Easter brings a foreign invasion. Like a flock of migrating birds, French schoolchildren descend on the village. If there is a gold mine in Polperro, it's the fish and chip shop, which is by London businessman Steve Byford.
Well, I wouldn't say that I'm the best loved person in the village. Well, you know, I come up from London and I buy a place, I buy a business, and they look at it, you know, you sort of intrude. But what do you do? I mean, if I don't buy it, someone else is going to buy it. They won't, which is sad. They wasn't very pleased when I bought this place, in respect that I changed the name. It used to be called Emils. I called it Chip Ahoy, which they got a petition up to say, you know, because they don't like change. If I'd called it what I was going to call it, I think they'd have thrown me off Pete Rock.
What was that?
Not tonight, I've got a haddock.
After Easter Day service in Talon Church, Father William asks his congregation to gather outside to enact an old Easter custom, egg rolling.
I'll catch the first egg past, and the one
Even
that
his
gets
most
there first
cosmopolitan
wins the prize.
parishioners are fascinated by this ancient sport.
When it's all over, there's enough eggs hidden in church for all the children to find one. Okay, so nobody goes home without a prize, not on this show.
If you can't have fun with the faith, then you might as well pack up and go home. Jesus was a really fun-loving person. I mean, he went to parties and made 120 gallons of wine out of 120 gallons of water.
Do you mind if I ask you a personal question?
Go on.
How tall are you?
Well, I usually say 5'19". It doesn't sound as bad as 6'7".
You must be the tallest priest in Cornwall.
I am, according to the bishop, I'm the tallest priest in the Diocese of Truro. I often like to say I'm actually the biggest sinner in the Diocese of Truro because it keeps my head a bit more level.
Does size matter?
Well, I don't think so. It depends, as they say, it's not how big it is, it's what you do with it.
Well bowled, Vicar.
Father William wants to play for Polperro's cricket team. He's bowling to the primary school headmaster, who's one of the opening bats.
Well, Paul, shall I go to heaven if I let you bowl me? In your prayers, Vicar.
It was there.
In your prayers.
Oh, I don't know about that.
In your dreams.
No, what do you reckon then, opening bowler?
Well, after that,
After 3 days of rough seas, Polperro's largest trawler, the Cayley, struggles back to earth. But with a European quota system that gives Cornish fishermen a much reduced share of what is left to catch in their already overfished waters, even a boat like the Cayley cannot make fishing pay. The Cayley's catch is half of what it ought to be. The boat's owner, Beaver Thomas, needs to land £100,000 worth of fish a year to cover his overheads. He's sick of worrying about it.
It's just so soul-destroying. Going out there for nothing, you're not going to get very much out of it. It doesn't give you the will to get up in the morning and go out. And being a weekend, I knew this was going on as well. I thought we'd stop in. Plus, I wanted to spend some time with my son, Billy.
He's in good hands.
Oh, yeah, he's in everybody's hands at the moment. But, yeah, I just want to just enjoy it. What's going on, Billy? Billy? Did it? Right there. Yeah, he's happy. And I just want to see him grow up because there's so many people have gone fishing and they haven't actually seen their kids grow up.
I'm just trying that hair colour.
You know, I've got to where I've got to now, and I'm going to bail out. I'm just going to bail out and go smaller, spend more time doing things like this, tie the boat up. If I want to tie the boat up and go on holiday, that's what I'm going to do.
In his net store, one of Polperro's most experienced fishermen, Graham Jolliffe, is changing the mesh on his nets so that he can catch a wider variety of fish. It's a despairing gesture from a disillusioned man.
I went fishing because of the freedom and I enjoyed it. Now I don't anymore. I do it now because there's nothing else I can do. I'm 48. I'm a little bit too old to be retrained, I think. There's no other work round here. The wages here are very low. The wages fishing are lower still. I can get twice as much washing dishes as I can fishing in my own boat now. I've got a boat with my brother. It cost £150,000 to build with gear back 10 years ago. And the trouble is, at the end of the day, we're on £180 a week last year, 9,000 quid, before tax, before stamp came out. It's not viable. So my mortgage got frozen for a year, and also my pension plan got stopped. So I have no pension plan. Despite what they want everybody to have pension plans, I don't have one, like most fishermen, because I cannot afford it. So at the end of the day, I have to work till I drop, virtually. And that is the reality of this game.
It's May, and Polperro's crabbers are at sea. Gary Toms's boat, Fairwind, hugs the coastline. The best lobsters are usually caught just offshore, but when a strong wind blows, the pots have to be pulled in before they're dashed on the rocks. Crewing for Gary is his 10-year-old son, Nathan.
Well, I just go out with Dad anytime he goes out and I'm around, basically, home from school. And just go out with him whenever I'm on the boat. Well, I've been seasick once or twice out potting with Dad and threw up. Doesn't put me off at all. I just like the sight of all the lobsters and crabs coming up and all the money in it. Well, I just like it so much, and like, I want to be a fisherman when I grow up, basically.
Do you think there'll be fishing boats for you to go in then, though?
Yeah, I'll inherit my old man's. I'll probably just do the same as him. Mackerel in the winter and potting and tripping in the summer. Get a part-time job as well for when the weather's bad, then I can just go do that, earn a bit of money.
And will you stay here in Polperro?
Yeah, definitely. Stay with my old man.
Nathan Toms has no academic aspirations.
Don't like school. I don't like it at all.
Why not?
Well, it just takes up all my time and learn things I already know.
Would you rather be out here?
Yep.
On the boat with your dad?
Yep.
But what do your parents feel? Do they want you to stick in at your lessons and
Yeah.
go to university?
Yep. But I'm not gonna.
You're going to go on the boats?
Yep. Following my father's footsteps.
Today, Nathan is following in Gilly Davis's footsteps. She's taking her son Toby and some of his friends to school. It's a long hike.
Morning, Mr. Toms. This was a bit of an effort, wasn't it?
Down on the beach, Wallington salutes Nathan's dad. Wally and his wife own the village fish stall, and Gary Toms is one of their main suppliers.
Come on, kids. Keep up.
Before opening a pizzeria in Polperro, Gilly Davis was a bunny in London's Playboy Club. She's still fit.
Thank you ever so much for your efforts.
Before humping crabs and lobsters around, Wally Wallington was a market trader in East Anglia.
Now, what have we got?
I love this sort of morning. The sun's shining, quiet, walking the dog. Not sure about all the kids.
This is a cock crab. Solid frame, big claws. This is a small hen crab, egg pouch, smaller claws, and a humped body. The cock crabs are, at this time of the year, absolutely superb eating. This is medium size. This weighs, what, 3 pounds, I suppose, 2.5 to 3 pounds. These will go up to about 7 or 8 pounds, and the 8-pounders are absolutely gorgeous. My water is boiling. I've killed the crabs by simply disconnecting the nerve cord. We'd kill them first, partly for obviously a few main reasons. I don't like putting crabs in water. But the other thing what happens is, of course, they will break up. If you just simply drop a live crab in the boiling water, you'll end up with something like a Cornish pasty.
Have we got the answer? The meaning of life.
Gilly Davis's life revolves around the family business in Polperro. But what about her younger son, Toby? Will he be making pizzas?
No, I am interested in, the pizza place my dad owns, but no, I haven't any idea yet.
We'll come up and see you. But you come down to me at 4 o'clock tonight in case your mum's not there, OK?
Polperro is a two-tier community with a modern housing estate at the top of the hill. And it's here that the village children go to school.
Now come on, King Balaam. King Balak will give you a house full of silver and gold and all the honours he has if you'll help him fight the Israelites.
Polperro's angry priest, Father William, livens up the Old Testament to make a point about modern living.
God was really angry with King Balaam because he told him not to fight. So he sent an angel to stand in the road in front of the donkey. And King Balaam couldn't see him, but the donkey could, so he went off the other way and squashed Balaam's foot against the wall. And Balaam said, "Oh, me foot! Oh, you plonker! You stupid donkey!" Now, wouldn't it have been easier from our stories if the Amorites and the Bashanites and all the rest of them had let the Israelites live with them? If it didn't have to be them or us, it could have been them and us, couldn't it? There's all kinds of people in the world who should be able to share the same land, but won't.
May the 5th, the village grocer John Yaxley is standing for re-election to the parish council, and Monica Field-Johnson is voting for him.
Thank you, John. I remember years ago I used to canvass in the general elections, and I used to tear about on my bicycle when I could run and walk and things, knocking on doors and saying, "Go on, have you voted yet?" Go on up there and do it.
Exercise the friendship.
Oh, right, yeah, it needs exercise.
It certainly does. Do you think it matters who gets elected?
Yeah, we need someone that cares about the interests of the village generally. It doesn't matter what political party thing we've got or not got. It's the person, because they know what's going on. They know about the fishermen and they know about the tourist industry and the small businesses in the village. So I think it is important somebody represents these interests.
Every Tuesday, milkman Rob Lunn delivers his son to playgroup.
You see your friends?
He was going nicely when suddenly there was a loud clanking noise. "Your tender is off the line," said his driver. "We must have run into some rubble. Oh dear, look, the wheels come off the railway line."
Don't you want to paint? Paint the sandpit in the water?
Lindy Lewis is still having difficulty with her son, Byron Pucky. There is a sense of permanence about the village. Some of the family names have been around for centuries.
Right, we're all going to sit down here and have a story now.
It's easy to play the generation game here.
This is Jessica Dodge. Her granddad's the local harbour master. This is Amanda Butters. Her gran and granddad run the local bakery. Adam Broad and Josh Jones, their great-granddad was a jaw. Shannon Roberts, she's a local. Benjamin Bond, his great-granddad is a Pucky. And Byron is a Tom's. His grandfather was the local butcher for many years. And he's also a Pucky, so he's got local family on both sides.
And you're an Oliver, aren't you, Ray?
Yeah, I'm an Oliver, yes. My granddad was a Libby.
In the beginning were the Jolliffes, and they inhabited Polperro. 87-year-old Dick Jolliffe has been living on his own since his wife died.
Yes, I miss her, but I've adapted myself, and through life I've been easily adaptable. Whatever job I've had or whatever I've had to do, I've settled in all right.
But what Dick has never fully come to terms with is the way in which the village has changed.
In earlier days, we had 4 butcher shops in Polperro. There was possibly 8 or 9 grocery shops and greengrocers, where there was no fridges and no supermarkets then, that everybody had to buy in the village what they required.
£2.345, thank you.
Thanks to tourism, Polperro is full of cafes and gift shops, mostly run by incomers. But in their small antique shop, Jill Badgery and her mother, Emma Oliver, can point to a longer pedigree.
We've seen an awful lot of changes, and we don't like some of the changes we see. We don't like it when people come in and talk about Polperro as if they've been here for generations when they've only been here for 6 or 7 years. They may be very well read about it, but they don't have that gut feeling, that sort of deep feeling about Polperro. They don't stand out on the quay at midnight and say, "My God, isn't this beautiful?" They just don't do it.
Watch the moonlight through the...
That's right. They don't go out on stormy nights like you and Dad used to do and just let the elements get at you and think that it's heavens and it's wonderful. How can they? They don't belong here. They might like it here, but they don't have that history. We've got the history.
Well, I don't care if you put me down, and I don't care if you play the clown. Years gone by.
This is Emma's grandfather, Rattler Curtis. He took the fish to market on a donkey-led cart. By all accounts, it was thirsty work.
Only my grandfather would drink the sea dry. And he used to, when he come back with his donkey, he'd give the donkey a beer as well.
Well, look me in the eyes and tell me I'm not true.
My father was a Curtis, my mother was a Jolliffes. There was all Curtises and Jolliffes in those days. All Curtises and Jolliffes.
Was your father a fisherman?
Yes, he was a fisherman. My grandfather was as well. Both sides, my mother's side and my father's side. It was all fishermen.
I belong.
Well, when I was a boy, there was about 40 Jolliffes in Polperro then. And there was one family that had 14 children. And any amount had 9 or 10.
We always had pinnies on, going to school, great big white pinnies, and boots. We always had lace-up boots on, not the modern ones, the old-fashioned ones, you know.
While the men fished, the women did contract knitting. This is Dick Jolliffe's mother.
And many a time I've woken up, say 2 o'clock in the morning, and heard the old steel needles clicking away down under. She'd be waiting for my father. If there was a gale of wind, she wouldn't go to bed.
Polperro was a village riddled with superstitions, mostly connected with the letter R.
I mean, if a robin pecked at the window, somebody was going to die. That was sure. Mother would have to say, oh no, somebody's going to die.
Rabbits is another thing, you mustn't mention that.
Why?
Or rats, you mustn't mention nothing but that.
Why?
I don't know, it's handed down.
And if a picture fell off the wall, that was sure to be somebody dying. You know, they had awful superstition.
Yeah, another thing is, if you must have started a season on a Friday. You must put nothing aboard a boat on a Friday.
I don't take any notice of a picture fall off, it falls off. I pop it back again, you know.
When I was a boy, we walked about the village by the lights that was in the windows. We had no street lights. Every window had a light in it. Now that's all gone, you see. I'd look out over the harbour through the windows upstairs, and it's really depressing sometimes winter evenings to look out and see darkness. That's the few windows lighted up here and there.
It's Cup Final night, the highlight of the local darts season that has involved teams from Polperro's 8 pubs and clubs.
45.
Our hard-up internet couple, Vern and Irina Oxley, enjoy a night out. Vern's health has improved and he's working again as a photographer. The village is darts mad. Hundreds of people either play the game or watch it. Apart from drinking, it's the major communal activity.
Everybody's friendly, it's a good night, and it's a thing that's dying out really, darts, but it's not dying out in Polperro. There's a lot of teams, to be quite honest, that aren't very good, but they're the people that make the league and make the community spirit really, you know.
Almost everyone seems to win a trophy.
Small for the camera, please.
Where there is fierce competition is in the village's restaurant trade. Mark Puckey is one of 25 chefs cooking for a profit. Mark has the restaurant franchise at the Mill House, and this is to be a busy night. A party of hairdressers from Lou have booked in for a meal. Mark is helped by his partner, Lindy Lewis.
Right, guys, we're ready. Can I have 2 scallops, 2 brie, followed by 1 chicken stir fry, 1 chicken salad, 2 steak au poivre medium, 1 small spare ribs, 2 duck, 4...
Mark wants to serve exquisite seafood, but his customers' tastes are more down to earth.
Long-term ambitions, I would like my own high-class restaurant, which down here isn't going to be that easy due to the lack of clientele. I'm hoping this place will change, and we will start getting back the people we used to have 10 years ago. And failing that, it's pack your bags and find another place.
I don't know which box this came out.
I'll tell you what, I'm not joking, put it all in that box and just go to the VAT people, just give them that box, say we're going for a walk and back in about an hour. No, but seriously, I haven't got a clue. Not a bloody clue what I'm looking at.
It's charity day at the Killygarth holiday camp, and bungee jumping is the big attraction. Ready for action, Polperro odd job man, Joe 90.
You don't know how frightening it is.
It is frightening. I've got a clue, it's no good showing it to me, I've got a clue I'm looking at.
Italian restaurateur Wesley Cooper is also for the hype. His books are about to be inspected by the VAT man.
Day 2, the VAT man was still here. It's a waste of time, me being here. I can't bloody see. I've got a clue what I'm looking at. Honestly, I haven't got a... You might as well have a chimpanzee sat here.
Nice view.
On his way to the launching pad, Joe gets an aerial view of Polperro's modern suburbs. Joe has a head for heights, which is more than can be said for his partner, Linda Libby, who is Jill Badgery's daughter.
Mate, you sprint that way for me, please. Right, like I say, the only important thing is to let go of both hands at the same time.
Right, you're right.
Okay, mate, that's it. Okay. 3, 2, 1. So long, gentlemen!
I'm doing this because I'm a bit of an extremist. I like challenges, and the more extreme, the better.
Wine. What else? Butcher. Seafield. Alan left me. Everything we've paid for by cheque.
Stick in the box. Go out of the boat, bugger it.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Come on.
Okay.
That's all right.
This is a bit of a Maggie Thatcher here, Jill. Tough old bird. Well, you can all start digging in. No, that's the new addition, isn't it? Now, where did that come from?
Somebody's going to get the cat's head.
Well, I think it's good to eat lots of vegetables because he's just doing serious work at school at the moment.
Yeah.
Decision day in the Davis household. Elder son Elliot is choosing his GCSE subjects, an employment in a schoolboy's career.
Well, we've got a whole load of subjects to choose from. You're still undecided, aren't you?
It's dreaded options.
Yeah.
When do I get to choose my options?
When you're Elliot's age, you've got another.
You've
got to pick up at school first before you start choosing your options.
You're going to be a fisherman or a
I
fisherman?
don't think you'll have any options with your schoolwork at the moment, so.
Yours are sorted.
So you've got to choose one subject out of 3 groups, or 2 subjects out of 3 different
it's
groups.
like you've got the subjects to pick. One technology, one humanities, and then 2 from the last section.
German, drama,
music,
arts,
geography, history.
Pick German. Go on and
No.
Why? Warum nicht?
Because he's already doing quite well in the French.
Es tut mir sehr leid, aber Deutsch ist über alles! If you're going to live in a German Europe, you've got to bloody speak German. Don't be silly.
The bureaucracy, I know, but inevitably we have to go through that process. As I say, to a certain extent...
Irina Oxley still hasn't got her work visa. She turns to local MP Colin Breed for help.
It looks like it's getting its way through the system. No news is good news situation because...
A marriage between a young Russian computer programmer and a much older Englishman was bound to be questioned by the immigration authorities.
Inevitably on some of these immigration issues, there is the concern of marriage's convenience, of people bypassing the normal systems in order to come to this country. But I think it's very clear in this case that that isn't so.
How dare some phantom from hell, in the space of a few brutal but painless moments?
4 years ago, David Hines had 2 massive strokes. Now he's made a complete recovery and is writing a book about his experiences.
Is this the devil's idea of a Saturday night on the town?
It's certainly HarperCollins's idea of a good book. They are publishing After Stroke around the world. David owes a lot to his niece, Jane Fletcher. Although he'd been a high-flying stress management consultant, he needed someone to look after. Jane offered him a home in Polperro.
Pint? It's a bit early for pints, isn't it?
No, it's not. Today I finished the book.
You're joking.
Finished today.
Already?
Well, already 3 years, yeah, but...
I know, but you said you weren't going to finish it till the end of the month.
I know, but today I'll finish it.
Oh,
I've
that's
got about
brilliant.
half a page to do. So, pint of Cadbury's.
Oh, you better buy me one as well, then, for all
No kidding.
years of putting up with you.
Yeah,
I'll have a glass of port,
turned out
dear.
right, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, dear, they were the days, weren't they,
Yeah, well, I'm half glad shot of you, though. You're the most awkward guest I've ever had.
Yeah, well, what did you expect?
You couldn't speak properly. You were all, you know, like, horrible to see.
I think she provided the basis for recovery, and this is so important.
No.
There must be. Yes, you did.
You did that yourself. I don't want to sound like some sort of saint.
No,
Mother Teresa who came and rescued you.
No,
because
no,
I'm
but
not.
I wouldn't have come here I would not have come here unless you got quite heavy in the hospital. I mean, my parents and other people that I should come. So virtually I was transported down here.
I'm the only one could stand up to you, aren't I?
Are you going to stay on in Polperro?
Absolutely. Listen, I've reserved my little plot in the old cemetery just up the road on that little bend. Yeah, I love it here. It's very, very special.
Much to their surprise, Wesley and Denise sailed through the VAT inspection. But there's another problem that won't go away so easily. The bank overdraft.
Well,
when are you supposed to phone the bank up?
Tomorrow.
Right, give him a ring tomorrow. Tell him
I've got all the figures and everything.
Explain what we took over the weekend. Right?
Yeah.
See if that is any good.
Most of Polperro's business people lead a hand-to-mouth existence. With a seasonal trade and apparently dwindling receipts, almost everyone is working for the bank manager. But they keep on going. It's part of the price they pay for surrounding themselves with so much beauty.
Right, there we go, Daniel. Okay.
Young people look tired in the morning, but in Daniel Kebble's case, it was more to do with work than play. 21-year-old Daniel was Polperro's youngest fisherman and seldom away from the sea.
What happened to you last night? You let him?
You should have seen him last night. Asleep on the floor down here with the dog. Again.
His mother knew he would never be rich, but Daniel was determined to be a fisherman.
Some more dams to make.
What time have you been back up?
Past 5, 6 o'clock.
I'll probably wait till you then. Did you catch much yesterday?
A little bit.
What was it yesterday?
Dovers in the day and pilchards at night. Right.
I should imagine he will stick with it because that's sort of all he's known for most of his young life.
Daniel, don't forget to pay the paper bill.
But I'm sure he'll get by. He's a worker and he'll struggle on.
Daniel Beglass' boat was easy to run.
It's just a taxi to get there. Going like this where we are might burn, $5 worth of diesel.
Being under 10 meters in length, Daniel's boat was free from fishing quotas. He could catch what he liked. One day shooting his nets for cod, the next handlining for mackerel. There always used to be 2 men to a boat. It was safer that way. But today's fishing is sober. You have to take risks to make a living. So Daniel worked on his own.
I can make a living. Helps being single, still at home. And I make a living.
So low overheads, low maintenance, that's the secret.
That's right. Definitely. It's 20 to 8 now. Would you be cooped up in a car, queue of traffic in front of you, beeping your horn, road rage, all that? Look at this. My office. What more do you want?
Daniel loved fishing. He could not have done anything else. In nearby waters, Graham Jolliffe is having a miserable morning. His nets are virtually empty. The boat he bought with his brother was designed to catch a ton of cod a month. But no sooner was it built than the government drastically reduced his quota to make way for the big trawlers who'd fished in Icelandic waters before Britain lost the cod war, which has left fishermen like Graham scratching around for anything that's left in the sea.
In the 70s we had between 10 and 20% of the fish stocks as quota we should catch by hand line. But the big boats came down here after Iceland. The government just threw away the hand line fishery to allow the big boats basically compensation from Iceland. And they've now taken all the stocks, taken all the fish, there's just nothing left.
When Daniel shot his nets that day, it was in the hope of catching pollock, but he ended up with a bit of everything.
Yeah, a little cuckoo. Would you believe people actually eat these bony things? Dogfish. Oh no, the bloody phone's going as well. That's fishing. That's why, you know, we work a lot of nets to try and get it right once for the day.
You've got a good consolation prize there.
Yes, quite a nice place. About 2 kilo in weight, $2.40 a kilo, roughly.
So you get slightly under a £5.
Yeah.
What is that fish actually worth?
Well, you get your 4 fillets out of that. Could be worth about 20 quid.
So you're only getting a quarter of the real value?
Yeah, that's about it.
Polperro's fishermen cut out these middlemen when they sell to the village fish stall. Wender and Wally Wallington pay a good price for high-quality fish, but of course their needs are modest. Most of Polperro's catch is currently sold to fish merchants who buy for the supermarkets. Having raised a family in East Anglia, Wender Wallington didn't plan to end up running a fish stall in Polperro.
We came to Cornwall on a different project completely, which didn't work out. And someone said, well, there isn't a fish outlet in Polperro. If you know a little bit about fish, why not try? So, we're trying. The product couldn't be fresher, couldn't be better. It's off the boats.
And this lobster couldn't be much bigger.
If you object to this. No, that's fine. There he goes. £10, 3 ounces. He's lost a bit of weight since this morning.
She's It's a cake. Yeah. All right.
Having got her visa at long last, Irina Oxley is working in Polperro's hotel. The Russian computer programmer is not ideally suited to the job.
No, 2 hot water.
Take the order for them now.
Okay. What is acceptable at this moment is just waitress, chambermaid, maybe part-time cleaner, that's all.
Okay. Even so, she's lucky to have found a sympathetic employer.
We're not doing very well here.
The toast was burned. I put the second part. So it's done from the first time.
Did Irina burn all that toast then?
No, that's yes.
Yeah, it was my job, yeah.
Polperro media student Peter Fisher is filming on his way to college. The morning bus to St Austell gives him a captive audience on whom to practice his interview technique.
How does the long journey affect you?
It makes it a very long day. Sort of if you're up at 6:30 in the morning and you don't get home till at least 5:30 in the evening, it's like 11 hours. But it does give me a chance to sort of do any homework that I haven't managed to do at home, or there's a lot of reading involved in my courses, so I can catch up on that.
With only a few weeks to go in his 2-year course, Peter is way behind with his fieldwork, and it's hardly his fault. He and his fellow students were left without tuition when the college abandoned its GNVQ media course with them in the middle of it.
How does the long journey affect you?
It makes it a very bad day.
It will affect my career. If I can't get into the university, I will not get the job that I want. But basically, we're not meant to be teaching the course to ourselves, which we were doing the end of last college year and the beginning of this college year. We were teaching ourselves, looking at books and looking through the syllabus, seeing what we have to do.
Without a distinction at GNVQ level, Peter Fisher will lose his chance of a good university education. Vanessa Jocelyn has a university place, but with a Brighton law course costing £7,000, she has to earn her academic.
It's meant that I've had to do 3 jobs and work all day, every day, and all evening as well. I get up 8 o'clock, come in, clean the restaurant, go straight to my other job, which was in an ice cream shop, work there all day till 6:30. and then come in here for 7 o'clock to work.
Not much fun for you.
No, not at all. I've just been so tired for the past couple of months.
Are you going to be able to enjoy university when you finally get there?
I hope so, I intend to. I do. I want to get out of Polperro and make something of my life, and it's not going to happen if you're here, so I want to go and do what I can.
Village girl Janet Gregory is also saving up for university by working on the fish stall.
And is that cod there? Down there? Yeah. Yeah, that is.
Would she have had more fun growing up in a bigger community?
I don't know. There's such a clique between the young people down here because there's not very many of them. Everyone's very close. I think it's a good place to grow up, especially when you're younger.
Do you have a boyfriend in the village?
No. That would be like going out with my brother. We're all too close to like get involved like that.
Are the Polperro boys not up to it?
No, they're lovely. Don't get me in trouble.
Janet Gregory may be prepared to wait until she's left the village before finding a partner, but most of Polperro's young people are not so inhibited. Someone who feels he's missed out on the good life is old fisherman Edmund Curtis. He was too busy catching pilchards to really enjoy himself.
No, I never went over the girl for a 25-year-old. Never had experience. I suppose I do regret it now, it seems as a day. And now it's too bloody late.
In June, the village stages its own arts festival. Without any kind of subsidy, everything is done on a shoestring.
It's the same as Robin in the Hood, really. It's the person from the forest, from looking after us, hopefully. We did try with our resources this year not to over budget, but to have at least something each night. Even though we haven't got the big finances of last year, well, I think we've got quite a nice varied programme on.
The festival opens with the investiture of a new Lord Mayor. This year's choice, Joe Card, has been given a robe to match his name. The 80-year-old cellarman is the first mayor not to have been born in the village.
It's quite an honour. It is, really. For me, it is. It shows that I've been accepted in Polperro, which is a wonderful thing, really.
How long have you been here?
31 years.
Is that how long it takes?
It takes a long time. It does, really. Especially with these Cornishmen, it takes a long time.
A last-minute panic in Ted Pilcher's kitchen. The festival organisers are having trouble with their collecting tins.
The problem is, unfortunately, we've lost the rest of our proper collecting boxes. We're having to fall back onto the old ones, whereby, unfortunately, the new pound coin doesn't just slide in, it sticks. So we're having to enlarge the slot. Obviously, we're hoping people will put their pound coins in.
Well, it's the first day of the festival today, and we opened our doors at 12 o'clock, and Rick Stein walked in the door for lunch, and I'm slightly nervous.
Britain's premier fish chef is not here by accident. Rick is opening the arts festival. He and his wife Jill order fish from the menu.
Obviously, yeah, he's influenced me. But I think it's not the style of his cooking that's influenced me, it's the fact that he demands fresh seafood, not farmed. Whatever it costs, it's kind of only used the best local stuff, and I think that's the way it's got to go.
So, are you from here?
I'm from the village, yeah,
Really?
originally.
I just think the food doesn't sort of show that, really. Have you cooked anywhere else?
France, Spain. I spent a year in Australia cooking.
You got your own style, and it's, you know how things should taste. I promise you, it's really good.
Mark tells Rick about his ambition to open his own high-quality seafood restaurant. Hopefully Cornwall will be big enough for both of them.
I'd like it in Polperro, but I'm just not sure if the market's here for it, to be honest.
You better not kind of padsy, you're a bit bloody good, actually.
I've thought about it. Maybe Foy. I do like Foy.
That's lovely, yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple of good restaurants there, I must admit.
The festival kicks off with a fancy dress parade, in which Celtic folk arts add colour to the occasion.
very much for asking me to open the festival. I declare the festival open.
It's time for last year's Lord Mayor, Brenda Thomas, to hand over the chain of office to her successor.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the new Lord Mayor, the joker in the pack, Mr. Joe Card.
No Polperro ceremony is complete without a bit of prize giving, and most of the children got something for their costumes.
And the third prize is an M&M, Billy Beaver. Very sweet today.
In the novelty section, Father William wins an award for dressing as a vicar.
First prize, Dick Dastardly. And his partner.
Now we can't.
This is what passes for a Lord Mayor's parade in Polperro. It's actually based on a medieval custom in which, at midsummer, the village drunkard was taken from inn to test the quality of the ale before being dumped in the harbour to sober up. Past and present come together in the Ship Inn. Because of his age, this year's Lord Mayor got off without a soaking. But precedent decreed that someone had to meet the tide. A fall guy was needed, and Joe 90 was the easiest choice.
Have them. No, some of that dirty. He's done it by proxy.
Yes!
Rick, since you got famous, you must be asked to do an awful lot of fetes and festivals.
Yeah, lots, actually, yeah. It's a shame, but I have to turn most of them down because I'm so busy.
What persuaded you to do this one?
Well, I haven't been to Polperro for literally about 15 years, and I just had a bit of an inquisitiveness to see what it was like after so long. And it's been a really good sort of friendly local atmosphere, and it's very nice in a festival like this where everybody seems to know everybody else. And I kept seeing the same faces all day, and sort of, you know, you get to sort of say, oh, hello, like that. So it's quite good.
There was a young man from Kerno who got left in Polperro on Perno. He went down to the quay and fell into the sea. Well, I suppose you live and you learn. A young Antipodian sailor seeking refuge in Venezuela mistook the pole for the Costa del Sol and escaped his colonial jailer.
She came to me, Princess of the Sea.
The friendly festival turned out to be a street party that spilled over into Polperro's pubs, clubs and halls.
And Lord John's to keep all your carts warm and cosy.
She came to me, Princess of the Sea. She came to me, Princess of the Sea. I've seen the sunshine and rain.
16 he was a married man.
Janet Gregory's mother, Erica, starts a night of folk singing in the Ship Inn with a song that has a deep personal meaning for her.
The grass grew over him. Cruel death soon put an end to his growing. Growing. My bonny boy was young, but growing.
It was her son Brian's favourite lament. He died in a road accident 3 years ago.
When our son died, we had a wake, and it was a real wake. Almost the whole village was involved, and everybody sort of stayed on later, and we ended up singing till about 4 in the morning, I think, at our place. And Ted, who helps organise the festival, said, right, you're going to be singing at the festival next year. That's it.
See the picture of the fishing boat as it hangs upon the wall. See the giant net as it's hanging there with the catch about to fall. If you listen very carefully, you might hear the captain call. For these once were the fishermen of Cornwall.
So help me, Bob, and bully in the alley, way, bully in the alley to help me.
And the fillies are drinking tea. Over there was Shellabell, scrapers and back at her.
Italian restaurateur Wesley Cooper has been to the garage. It's his euphemism for the pub, and he's come back with his tank full.
Oh, me lads. Daddy! Daddy!
He doesn't seem to have his key.
Daddy!
Denise would appear to have gone to bed.
What the hell is she? To this on purpose. Daddy! Bloody freezing as well. Oh, oh, come on. Oh,
Down by the harbour in the heart of Polperro are the fishermen's cottages, most of which have been bought by people from up country as second homes and holiday lets.
All right, Jackie, we'll just pop into Cobblestones. I've got a few problems in there with the shower. All right. Billy's going to be up there sorting that out.
Polperro estate agent Audrey Libby looks after many of these cottages in a street called the Warren.
Pop into Crumpled here. I think some of the light bulbs out. And...
Saturday is changing day in the cottage letting business.
Can you do upstairs for me?
I'll
I'll
nip
check
upstairs.
downstairs.
There was complaints that the cooker wasn't working, so I just checked that out.
To be honest, there's loads of bulbs in here that aren't working.
Sorry?
There's loads of bulbs in here that aren't working.
Fan's working.
A few up there, you know, that aren't working.
How many?
You know all those in this
spotlight ones?
Loads. Yeah. There's one, and I think so. There's 6 out.
6?
About 6 out, yeah.
Are they not on a dinner?
Holiday tenants are a very demanding breed. They expect everything to be just so, and with 42 cottages to look after, Audrey has her work cut out.
It's always busy. I mean, you get lots of nice people, you get lots of people that complain as well. You've just got to deal with everybody, and, you know, you get good days and you get bad days.
Oh, and in here, let me just have a check. Yeah,
they're all right.
One in there.
All right, then. Up to Cobblestones.
Yes.
In today's inflated market, most of these cottages are valued at £100,000 or more, and local people cannot afford to buy them. Understandably, this breeds resentment.
How you getting on, Billy?
I'm not. Look, I still think it's a trap.
I can see both sides to it. I can understand people that have lived here all their life and they've seen the cottages go out to strangers, and they're losing all the youngsters from the village because they can't afford to buy property in the village. But on the other hand, you know, a lot of the people that buy the cottages do spend a lot of time in their own cottages. They spend their money in the village, they buy from the local shops, as do a lot of the holiday makers that come down. So in that respect, the holiday makers are putting money into the village as well.
Few holidaymakers can have put more money into Polperro than the Rudkins. This is their 30th visit to the village, and they're coming again in September.
Hello.
Hello.
You have to have a sit down, Julie.
You're getting too old.
My legs are gone. I've got a black cab in London, and if you're one of them round for 12, 14 hours a day, it does get to you after a little while. I'm just so lucky that we found this place, and once we get down here, oh, it's lovely. All the tension seems to go out of you as soon as you come down that hill. Seems silly, but it's true.
How about you, Julie?
Same feelings, yeah, exactly.
But don't you want to explore other parts of the world?
Not really, no.
As a London cabbie, one of the many things Charlie Rudkin loves about Polperro is the absence of traffic. In a small village of narrow streets, parking is at a premium.
Right. 12,000 for a car parking space, and most of them have gone. And we've just sold a double garage, which has a loo in it as well, for 30,000.
The most expensive garage in Britain houses one of the most expensive cars. It's the wide-bodied version of the Aston Martin Virage Valente, and it's businessman Don Yates's pride and joy, while the garage is a bit of an embarrassment.
It's crazy, really. I think if I did a calculation, it probably works out to 12 or 13 million pound an acre, which is stupid.
Well, what persuaded you?
Well, it's like everything else. What persuades people to buy a painting? If you need something and it happens to be the right place at the right time, then you get it.
You felt you had to have a garage in Polperro?
Yes. Yes.
But you don't live here, do you?
Well, 5, 6 months of the year off and on. No, but it saves a car like this from being probably knocked about.
It's July. The streets are far from crowded. And even those tourists who have arrived seem reluctant to part with their money. For antique dealer Jill Badgery, the season is a complete disaster.
Abysmal. I think that's the only word for it.
How much have you taken today, for instance?
£9. That's from 10 o'clock this morning. It's just not worth opening the doors and switching the light on. And yet I've had dozens of people in the shop. Dozens. The shop has been packed to the gunnels. But I have £9.
The British idea of a good holiday has changed, and Polperro is suffering because of it. A trip round the bay is still appealing, in good weather, but it has to compete with package tours to the beaches of Spain and the theme parks of Florida. With cheap foreign travel, holidaymakers have become harder to please. They want to be entertained morning, noon and night. And they get it in the holiday camps that surround the village. The biggest of these is the Killigarth Manor Centre, which offers its 1,000 guests non-stop family entertainment at a highly competitive price.
Are they hypnotised?
2, 3, deep sleep, let the arm go loose.
You're hypnotised, you are.
Killigarth's success has had a very damaging effect on Polperro's evening trade. With so much on tap where they are, campers seldom go into the village for a drink or a meal. It's mid-July, and even the best restaurants are only half full.
Right, how many have we done tonight, Denny? Let's have a look.
I'm not sure offhand. Let's just have a quick...
With a bank overdraft to worry about, Wesley Cooper's visits to the so-called garage are becoming more frequent.
Listen, I'm just going down the garage. Can I have a 20 quid out of till, please?
Right, OK. OK.
I won't be long, OK?
All right, then. I'll see you later.
See you later, bless her.
Tonight, it's the Mill House garage.
Has Steve paid his bill?
About 2 years ago.
It still owes me 200 quid. I'm worried about getting enough money through for the winter. Trade is very bad in the village. Everybody will tell you that. If you speak to all the traders around here, they'll all tell you the same. Well, I came here because I fell in love with the place, and I wanted to live here and have a business here, you know. I have a great riches. I just want to have a nice lifestyle here, you know. Be able to pay the bills, you know, and live in the village without struggling. But I'm no better off now than I was when I opened the bloody place.
Wesley's restaurant has a checkered past. The last owner went bankrupt. To ensure that history doesn't itself, Father William blesses the place.
All share in the benefits of your creation. Bless all those who will use this building, either as consumers or providers, and may God, the Father of goodness, who commanded us to help one another as brothers and sisters, bless this restaurant with his presence.
Kirk House should be in no need of a blessing. It began life in the 1830s as a Methodist chapel, before a post-war builder turned it into 2 ugly flats. It's now being converted into one huge holiday cottage.
Bob?
Yeah?
How long have I got to do this for?
Just another couple of months left, don't we?
The job is being done by the owners, Bob and Jenny Seaton, who were working around the clock when we first filmed them.
I'll sort it out in a sec, hold on. Right, let's get this.
By mid-July, the room looked like this.
Bob, just slow down, will you, because of the dust. Can you
You
just do
know-
it gently?
Oh, no.
What?
We haven't painted this top section. It's got to be heat-proof paint.
Oh, great.
And the shop's closed today, I think.
I can't do anything about that now,
quickly get
can I?
that. I'm expecting a call from London. Can you quickly get the phone?
Bob.
Huh?
It's Prague or London. It's one of them. It's that call you've been waiting for. Quick.
God.
Sounds like
I've
it's
got to do
come from
something about
Prague.
this. We've got to get some paint.
Well, can you take the phone call first, please?
Kirkhouse's first paying guests are due to arrive in a week's time, and the cottage is far from finished. Bob's phone call will put a further spanner in the works.
Why has it got to be tonight? Oh, he's coming in from New York for... They can only make a meeting tomorrow.
Bob Seaton directs film commercials, and the Prague shoot is worth thousands of pounds to him.
I've got to go to Prague.
When?
Now. They want me at a meeting first thing tomorrow morning. He's coming in from New York, the creative director.
But you haven't done the floor.
I know.
Right, where was I?
Left on her own, Jenny runs through the job she has to do.
Hanging bloody curtains, I suppose, that don't fit.
How are you going to manage, Jenny?
I don't know, but what can I do? It's a job, isn't it? And it's his career, so... I'll have to learn how to use a sanding machine for a start.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Wesley.
People belong to a village like Polperro, but the village doesn't belong to them. They are merely a small part of its continuity, a sentence in a chapter in a long book.
Careful of it. The tits are in, not out.
With a husband and 2 boys, former bunny girl Gilly Davis is happy, but she has one ambition left.
Well, I'd like a little cottage up the Warren. How about that? A bunny ending up in the Warren.
Polperro is a photographer's dream, but to have a future in the 21st century, it will need to be more than a picture postcard, and there's the rub.
It no longer has an industry, it no longer has a product. It is too inconveniently placed and laid out with its parking problems to be a dormitory town for those who work outside. It takes a particular dedication to live here, and that's the side of Polperro. I think it will dwindle unless it achieves an investment and an improvement and an upgrading.
We've got a very pretty harbour. I mean, exceptionally pretty, but at night it's dead. Absolutely dead. There is nothing going on around it. I mean, it's just a dead area around there. I mean, you go to places like Mevagissey, and the harbour's lit up at night. You go to Lou, the harbour's lit up at night. You go to Polperro, and you could fall in it. It's so dark and dismal around there. And they don't spend any money on things like that. Tourists want to see pretty harbours lit up.
Someone who would have lit up the harbour was millionaire fish and chip shop owner Steve Biden. But his ideas were thought to be out of keeping with Polperro's essential character.
I love the harbour. I love the village. But it should go with the times. You want to go 26 miles across the channel to France and you see a fishing port over there. They'll show you how to do a fishing port with the restaurants with the tables and chairs outside, and it's so more relaxed. But they want to keep it like a museum, looking like a museum. And as you know, if you go to a museum, you get bored of it after a while.
Well, here, lads, this is some very interesting photo of your village. If you look at this photo up here...
Bill Cohen is curator of Polperro's Heritage Museum and a former harbour trustee. He has little sympathy for those who seek to modernise the village.
They come down here because it's like it is, and when they arrive, they want to alter everything. No, I don't see that. I don't think we want no radical big changes here at all. I was once told by old harbour master, Frank Curtis, and he said to me, this is many years ago, because the poor old soul's been dead nearly 30 years. He said to me one day, he said, boy, he said, you'll be one of the ones to look after this little place. And he said, we've done it before you. He said, no, it's up to your turn. Now come, he said, and you look after it for the rest of the people. Well, I like to think I've been able to help to do that.
And you think that's important, to keep the harbour as it is?
I think it's very important. I think it's very, very important.
The current harbour master is another fisherman called Curtis. Chris Curtis sees his job as a family trust.
The only pleasure I get out of this job is I can walk down here and know that my father and his father before him could turn around and recognise the place, and that's the pleasure I get out, because it's the same. We've kept it the same, you see, and I hope to God we can keep it the same in the future. But it's getting harder and harder and harder all the time, because people want to do this and people want to change that, and it's an uphill battle.
Without fully comprehending it, the village is deeply in love with its own history.
So imagine then the fish being weighed around where we're standing, and the horses and carts of the jouters in the background. Now, jouters is a word you haven't met before, because it's a Polperro word.
Nancy Jolliffe conducts a guided tour of the village every Tuesday evening.
It had a few words that nobody used outside of Polperro. The jouters were the people who bought the fish and then took it around inland to the farms and the villages to sell.
Rattler Curtis was a jouter. His descendants remember him for his donkey and his prodigious thirst.
How was grandfather's route when he took fish out on the cart?
Riding on Berry Down, Mother used to say.
Where's Berry Down?
I don't know, don't ask me, I don't know where it is. Out Berry Down and all the country areas.
Well, far enough for him to get there, sell the fish, get drunk and come home.
Yeah, the donkey brought him home.
Well, yes.
Polperro has always inspired photographers, and the first of them was almost certainly the best. Using an early collodion camera, Lewis Harding produced this remarkable collection of passport-sized portraits in the 1850s. The fishermen's names haven't changed. There are Olivers, Curtises, Puckies and Jolliffes. By the 20th century, Polperro's economy was based on the pilchard, with 3 factories in the village salting the fish and packing it in barrels, most of which were exported to Italy. That was after the man from Del Monte had said yes.
Buyers would come over from Italy, and they'd put up at the inn there. And in the morning, they'd be served 3 pilchards for breakfast, and it would be one from each of the factories around this harbour. And anxious look there'd be in their direction while they ate these pilchards, because if they liked them, then a good price would be offered, and Polperro would have a good winter. And that's why the inn is called the 3 Pilchards to this day.
Gran was a Curtis.
Yeah.
So
Jill Badgery's daughter, Linda Libby, has been researching her family tree.
Catherine Curtis.
There's Joseph.
Now, Catherine was the one that lived in the 3 Pilchards.
Here she is, Gran.
And she eloped.
And, well, what was she called?
Catherine with John Langley.
Right. How many maidens are there here? I mean, we know we've got Curtises.
There are so many Curtises here.
The Curtis lineage goes back 400 years and is 8 feet long.
What are the names? Jolliffes, they're strong, aren't they?
Libbies.
Langmaids and Libbies.
Rose.
Rose. Are there very many Rose?
There's a few. There's a lot more to go on.
We must be related to all of Polperro.
Just about.
A village that loves to enjoy itself. July's Water Carnival being a high spot in the social calendar.
It's one of those days that you've just been waiting for.
It begins with a three-legged race through the village streets. Joe 90 and his partner are collecting for school children's outings.
Working cares are left behind. You play with an open mind and it's so cool. So cool. You know? Get on. Let's go. So cool. Summer sun is calling you today.
What are your tactics for the rest of the race? Collect money. It's going all right.
It's a great big world and mystery.
Thank you very much, Eddie.
Starting this
Okay, take off, Chris.
Where have you been?
Have you been collecting?
We had to slow down us.
Oh, good on.
Yeah. Right.
We done it. We done it. We got third.
Right,
Glorious third.
The only time Polperro has a village policeman is during the Water Carnival. Robin Davis impersonates one. The pizzeria owner describes his role in what are rather bizarre proceedings.
Well, basically, to be rowed out middle of the harbour, try and stop the millers and sweep fighting. And I fail miserably every year. And I blow my whistle and say, come on, boys, cool it down, cool it down, cool it down, and they don't.
Wait till you see the whites of their eyes.
Did that live up to expectation?
That was about part of the course, yeah. I thought I lasted quite well.
Unlike almost any other event in Polperro, the Water Carnival is organised by a young man, Beaver Thomas. So why does he do it?
Because it'd be a shame if it stopped. You look around, everyone having a good laugh and that. You know, everyone really gets into it and have a bloody good laugh. That's really the reason we do it, you know, just for the crack, basically.
The Water Carnival used to be a much bigger event. Edmund Curtis was in his prime.
It'll last all the afternoon, rowing, pulling, sculling and whatnot, and then the evening there was the carnival, and then right after that there used to be a bonfire up top of the beach.
Polperro always seems to have had a tradition for making its own entertainment.
Yes, it did, because there wasn't no television, there was nothing in those days. We had to, because there were 200 fishermen here then, and everybody kicked in on it. Everybody kicked in on it. That was the only entertainment we had.
Did you take part in the Miller and Sweep?
No, not the Miller and Sweep, because I can't swim.
You sink or swim in Polperro, and even without Evan and Bob, Jenny Seaton manages to get Kirk House ready to receive its first guests. And then she owns up to the truth. All these months of hard work were born of a desire to get away from the place, because she doesn't like village life.
The minute we got here, I realised that we'd made a mistake, and the only way I could see out was to convert it, to refurbish it, and then let it.
So you were going to live here
Oh,
originally?
yes, originally. The whole idea was we would live here and we would run the shop downstairs as an antique shop.
Where are you living now?
We now live in Bodmin. We have an old farmhouse in Bodmin.
It'll be said in Polperro that an excellent property like this one in the centre of the village should be used to house local people rather than to make money for outsiders like you and Bob. What do you say?
I quite agree with them, and I just wish somebody had done it.
What is the legendary ship
the Flying Dutchman doomed to do? It is sail forever. Let's have the answers to the accumulator.
Every Thursday night, Joe 90 runs a pub quiz in the mill house. The entrance money will go towards fireworks for bonfire night. Yet another example of the village looking after itself and having fun at the same time.
And I'm expecting some good ones for this. Balti is the Indian word for what? The answer is bucket. Not curry, bucket. Not diarrhea either, it's bucket. Look it up in the Indian dictionary, it is bucket.
For 75 years now, Polperro's Fishermen's Choir has been singing in the village's Methodist hall. Sadly, there isn't a single local fisherman left in its ranks. Restricted as to how much fish they can catch and hounded by the inland revenue, Polperro's remaining fishermen struggle to make a living. In pessimistic mood, they see themselves as nothing more than a tourist attraction, part of the Polperro experience.
It's romantic looking at us down here when people come down and see us all down here. It may look very nice, but the realities are it is a very hard life and a hell of a struggle. And at the end of the day, there's no reward for hard work anymore.
We're not allowed to catch our fair share of fish. And if we could catch our fair share, we'd be a lot happier than we are. But we have to make do on the crumbs of what is left.
Every day I threaten to give it up, and every day I go to sea. So what can I say?
What can be said about Chris Curtis is that he is the oldest of the active fishermen and the village harbour master.
I see quite a few youngsters playing around the harbour like I used to as a boy, and that's our future. That's our future fishermen, our future harbour master, and what have you. They're there. But there's got to be something for them to work at. And with all the rules and regulations and the licenses coming in, they don't stand a chance.
But the call of the sea is louder than the voice of reason. Polperro's optimistic young fisherman Daniel Keble saw a future in pilchard fishing and went for it.
Damn, I didn't have my Weetabix this morning.
Pilchard fishing is best done at night. It had all but ceased in Cornwall when it was discovered that the fish would sell as a sardine in Europe. So with borrowed nets and lurch hocking to crew for him, Daniel Keble sought to revive this lost art.
I thought, you know, solid pilchard marks here, we're going to do something with it. After hauling up 2 stone here, obviously not, the nets aren't right, not down deep enough. What time is it now? 11:10. It didn't take long. 2 stone of pilchards. It's not overly good, but it's been food for thought for me. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go pilcharding. I'm going to find the right net, give it all a good go.
Daniel found a better pilchard net, but never used it before he was lost overboard in a fishing accident. Many Cornish fishermen die at sea. Daniel was the first in the new millennium. Beauty is said to be in the eye of the beholder. And thousands of artists have found it in Paul Perrow's bright light.
The things that really interest me are colour and light, the juxtaposition of light and shadow, and one colour blending into another colour without you seeing the change. That's where my focus is, I think, really. It's a very powerful, strong light, very clear, wonderful colours, beautiful colours in the water.
There's a good boy.
Sue Lord is an art teacher who lives on her own in a cottage in the Warren. With her paintings hanging everywhere, it's both an art gallery and a home.
I only started painting in oils when I came to live here, and started seriously painting about sort of 50 years ago.
Good boy.
For Sue, painting is a private passion. She has neither hunted fame nor felt the need to sell her work.
It's a total absorption. It's a struggle. It's searching. It's finding new ways. It's learning. It's just continually learning. Nothing ever. You never reach it. You're continually striving for that extra bit and to suddenly reach something new. The teaching has become so consuming, so time-consuming, that I haven't got as much time as I would like to. Really, I'd rather spend my time painting now.
Year 9's art lesson at Loo Community College. Sue is introducing her class to cubism.
I like the cubes that we play. Maxine, go round to every viewpoint and see if you think you need to add anything. I'm trying through my teaching to give them some of the joy that I get from my own work. I suppose that's it. And if I get them to see new things and open their eyes to the world around them, then I've done my job.
Isn't it about time that you stopped teaching and became a full-time painter?
Yes. That's it. Maybe I will. Maybe I will. Maybe I will.
Time to bite the bullet, Sue.
Time to bite the bullet. Yes, it's certainly something that's going through my mind.
In the village, the Methodist chapel is more than a place of worship. It's a social centre. The money raised from this coffee morning will go to charity. Paul Perrow isn't a rich place, but most of the people living here are generous. The Methodist minister, Margaret Oxenham, is proud of them.
We have to remember there are probably 1,000, 1,200 people here, that's all. And over a year, they will give perhaps £10,000 in giving to all sorts of charities. It's amazing that when you think that some of those people are elderly, and this isn't an affluent society, and yet here are people giving of the little that they have and gaining so much back from doing that. It always amazes me.
There are several residential homes in and around Paul Perrow, and Father William visits them all. They are an important part of his ministry.
The church has to have a place in the community. We're one of the few organisations that haven't pulled out in rural areas. I hope we never will.
Beryl used to be a missionary. Now she's bedridden in Resgarth Retirement Home.
You in your small corner and I in mine.
Lovely, thank you.
Beryl's son, Graham Leslie, owns Resgarth and also runs a Meals on Wheels service for old people living on their own in the village.
Lovely. And I've got communion wafers here, so I'll give you communion, Beryl. If you like, the perfume of God's love doesn't surround us as we go about in the world as well and make that world a nicer place to be, then we've failed in our mission. The body of Christ.
Hello, Walt. Yo, Mrs. Libby.
Hi.
Graham, lunch time.
Yeah.
Mrs. Libby has Parkinson's disease.
How are you today?
Oh, not so bad. thank
Looking
you.
well?
Yes, thank you. I like it here now. You get used to the people.
Your favourite fish and chips?
They're always there to help you if you need help. I've always found that. Well, you don't get that in towns.
Care in the community is more than a political catchphrase in this village. Yet many tourists still perceive of Polperro as being a theme park, and even the most obvious rituals of village life are sometimes misunderstood.
We had a funeral, and we were trying to get up through the village with the hearse. And a gentleman, obviously a visitor in a car, said, "What the hell's a hearse doing down here?" And I said, "Pardon?" And he said, "What the hell's a hearse doing down here?" And I said, "Well, because we've had a funeral." And he actually said, "Do they die down here?" And it hit me that he thought like more Welham Quay or Land's End, and we open up just for the tourists and people don't actually live here. And as funny as that was, it was also very sad, because after all, the people that live here are part of my family now. And I felt for them that they were almost as if they were on show just for the visitors and the tourists. And people thought that that was all they were.
Polperro could hardly be more ecumenical. Anglicans, Methodists and Catholics often worship together, and their ministers are always ready to help others out.
No, it's broken, I'm sorry. I broke it last night.
You'll have to get the fairy liquid
Half
bottle.
of one, I'll have to get the fairy liquid bottle out again.
Just make sure you don't get it outside, so the fairy
no,
says,
I'll have to remember to turn it in the right way.
Yes.
Yeah. I can't get it back in now, William. What do you tell me to do that for?
Come here, let me
Oh, thank you so much. Can't do without a man, you see.
Well, I'm making no comment at all.
Right.
Every August, the parish holds a united healing service. Methodist though she is, Margaret Oxenham longs for the day when there's only one Christian church.
It begins by one person sharing with another in an honest, open way about where they are and what they believe. My job for me is just loving people, and that's what Jesus did.
It's August the 10th and village shops are laying in fresh stores for the eclipse. Thousands of visitors have entered to a zone of totality, including a few celebrities. Meanwhile, in Il Papagallo's kitchen, Wesley Cooper and his chef Roberto are trying to create an eclipse pizza.
Sì, grazie. Okay, is that...
Okay.
What?
What do you think?
I don't know. Right, so this bit out here is the moon, yeah?
No, yes, that's the moon passing over the sun, so the sun will be the egg. All right?
Right, so I'll put the egg in the middle then.
Yep.
Else any mushrooms
You
or
think it's
anything?
lacking something?
Yeah.
What?
I don't know.
What we got? What we got?
So I thought the moon was supposed to be in front of the sun.
It is, it's passing over it now.
Yeah, but no, it's going behind it now, isn't it? If you put the egg there...
Oh, well, they won't be known.
Polperro is in a strange mood. Even the fastidious Mark Puckey is capitalising on the eclipse by serving pasties in his restaurant.
Cornish pasties, Mark. You must be getting desperate.
Yeah, basically the people that are coming down to eclipse are not the people to sit in restaurants and have nice meals. They're the people that want a quick Cornish pasty and get back out on the streets again and spend as little as possible.
At long last, Polperro's shopkeepers have begun to profit from the eclipse. Until now, it's had a negative effect on the summer season, with people being put off by scare stories of traffic gridlock and food shortages.
All the doom and gloom, all the stories of the crowds of people coming down and all the problems that this might create were all put out before the milking season for the year. And consequently, what happened then, everybody was frightened off. Oh, I'm not coming down to Cornwall because everybody else is coming down. But nobody was coming down.
It's Wednesday morning, waking up with Phil Angel for breakfast at Pirate FM 102, 12 minutes past 8 o'clock. It's Eclipse morning, at 11 minutes past 11 this morning.
It's a champagne breakfast in the cottage B&B, as guests contemplate what they may hope to see on a cloudy day and whether they need special safety spectacles. In the kitchen, Pam Foster's husband, Dave, remembers the partial eclipse of his youth when he took more rudimentary precautions.
We were in school, 5 years old, in a little primary school, and we all had to take jam jars to school. And we got the very things Not the jam jars, but that was the type of thing we had to do, was blacken them with a candle. And the school teacher done this for us. So all the school children there were there with their black jam jars, looking at the eclipse through smoked jam jars. No wonder there's 200 of us with bad eyesight.
Today's watchers have been warned about their eyesight and much else besides, but they're still glad to be here.
People we know, family, friends, they've all been saying, oh, don't do it, you know, you're asking for trouble, you're going to be stuck in traffic for 24 hours and all this sort of thing. And been sending us cuttings from magazines, haven't they, about the traffic gridlock that was going to happen. But we just said, oh, we'll just go for it.
Well, you've got here,
yes,
but do you think you're going to see anything?
Hope so, but not looking at the cloud today, no.
With the eclipse only half an hour away, people streamed out of Polperro to find the best point.
That pair, or I've got another pair.
A selection?
We've got a selection. And by the time we get them all on, we won't know which way we're seeing.
Specs on. Anybody see anything?
Yeah, my eyes.
Your eyes?
Yep.
Well, all I can see is two black blobs.
I was watching Blue Peter this morning and they told me this is how you're supposed to do it.
Joe, it won't work.
I know, I can't see a thing.
Over there was Shalabare with scrapers and backers. And over there's Decampton with a graveyard full of tractors.
I don't think we'll be selling many eclipse pizzas tonight.
Never go swimming with bow-legged women.
Lovely.
Wesley and Denise have decided to celebrate the eclipse at sea.
Captain Webb.
Cheers.
I don't know if we've got enough glasses, have we?
It all happened very quickly.
Oh, Laura, spooky.
Yeah, go on.
A shadow moving at 1,570 miles an hour.
Look at the pink.
Oh,
shit.
Whoa!
Wow, look at this over here.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if you want a candle, actually, do you?
Oh, wow, look at the light over there. Look, Wesley.
It's a light, isn't it?
That's amazing, isn't it?
Look at all the cameras going off.
There's the lights.
I'll never forget this.
Look at this now, coming up now. Look at it.
Wow. Look at it, look at it. But look.
Still dark out there. Look at this, come up now. Look at coming up now. Can I see it?
Listen to the birds.
Birds are going bloody mad.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what was that like for you, Jimmy?
Oh, that's the most amazing experience I've ever seen. Incredible.
Fantastic. Oh, I'll never forget it.
Oh, that was absolutely incredible. I'm so glad I came up to see it.
I wish you could have seen it the way we did.
I'm going to start travelling the world now to see all the eclipses, I think.
But I just know you because it was just brilliant.
I'm just going to see what Robin's doing now. See how much he's eclipsed the pint that he was drinking.
Business is brisk on eclipse night. The normal August trade has been reinforced by thousands of sightseers, many of whom apparently eat pizza. To deal with the rush, the mermaid has to draft in an emergency dishwasher. The disaster's elder son, Elliot, doesn't know whether he will inherit the restaurant from his parents.
I'm not sure. I think they might sell before I'm old enough, actually. I don't know. No, I don't really know. I might do.
Now, if you did, what changes would you make?
The music. I'd probably bring it more up to date. So I don't particularly like the music. I don't particularly enjoy the 60s, 70s and 80s style music.
Robin Davis thinks his son should leave the village when he grows up.
If you're young, vigorous and fashionable, go to London. Do it in London, where I did it. When I was young, vigorous and fashionable, that's what you do. When you start a family, if you want to downsize, come to Polperro.
Are you no longer young, vigorous and fashionable, Shirley?
Absolutely not. No, not anymore.
The eclipse brought record trading to the village's 7 pubs, including the Blue Peter, where the manager Terry Bicknell was run off his feet.
Normally, New Year's Eve is our best day of the year, and we eclipsed that by a large amount for 3 days running, and we worked our little cotton socks off. One brewery came 3 times in a week, because you can see the size of the cellar. Another brewery came twice, and another one came once. So we had 5 deliveries that week to keep us going. Perfect. I do like beer. Your good health.
Lollipop, lollipop, ooh, lolly, 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 lollipop, lollipop, ooh, lolly, 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 lollipop, lollipop, ooh.
The barmaid at the Crumplehorn, Jane Fletcher, gave up smoking last year and put on weight. She's now on a special diet devised by her uncle, David Hines, the Polperro author. It seemed like a good idea. She had nursed David back to health after 2 massive strokes, and he could use his expertise as a stress management consultant to repay the debt. But there is a clash of wills, and Jane's dieting is not going according to plan.
You've lost the first stone. That's the hardest one in all.
You didn't have to lock me in your house, I mean, cheek, but coming from somebody who's had a stroke, 2 strokes, I should say, had 2 strokes, eats all the wrong stuff so he could end up having another one. It's a bit of, you know, you want to practice what you preach and get back on the straight and narrow yourself, otherwise what are you going to call your second book? I mean, I know you've got a title.
It's called Up You Come.
Yeah, I know it's called Up You Come, and it'll be Down You Go if you don't watch it.
Listen, you said you wanted to lose weight.
Yeah.
And I said I'd help you. But I told you, if necessary, I'd get tough. If it got difficult, I wouldn't throw in the towel. Whatever it takes, you'll lose weight.
On the day I was born, the nurses all gathered round, and they gazed in wide wonder at the joy they had found. The nurse spoke up, said, "Leave this one alone." She could tell right away that I was bad to the bone, bad to the bone.
Having been blessed by the local vicar, Wesley Cooper's restaurant is now making money. So he's bought himself a Harley Davidson and become a born-again biker.
I hear that things are going well. Life is being good to you.
It's just the whole look of the whole style of the setup.
And you pulled yourself around.
The style, the look, the escapism,
That's the only thing
you know, the rebel in you.
You're back on the road.
A modern-day cowboy.
You're back on the road.
The most nerve-wracking day in a young person's life. Students at the local sixth form college get their A-level results. Janet Gregory thinks she's failed English. Without it, she won't get a university place and could be stuck in Polperro for another year.
You thought you were going to fail. E in biology, B in English literature, the one that I said that I completely failed. And,
Janet gives her mother the good news. She will be going to university.
Yeah.
Erica Gregory is rushing home to celebrate her daughter's achievement, but she hates this stage of the journey. It takes her past the spot where her young son was killed by a car while crossing the road at night. Erica has to make this every working day.
There are times when it gets difficult and you're looking and you can actually see the accident happening, you know, in your mind's eye.
The accident happened at this intersection where there is no road lighting.
Lighting would be such a bonus.
it would make the difference, I think. After all, there's been at least 3 lives that I know of lost in the last 3 or 4 years, and it's too many.
In spite of the death toll, Cornish Highways have no plans to light the road between Looe and Polperro. Erica's son Brian is buried in the little cemetery at the top of the hill. Brian was only 16 when he died. Most of the village turned out for his funeral. 2 months earlier, Brian's 14-year-old friend Anna Rose Sargent died of cancer. Her plot is next to his. But the best memorial to their short lives lies not in stone or marble, but in the close friendship of their fathers. John Gregory and Chris Sargent have become virtually inseparable.
It's one of the positive, good things that have come out of it, really. My friendship with John, his wife Erica as well. Yeah, a lump of stone is a lump of stone. It doesn't compare with our friendship, no. I mean, it stops the bitterness, which could be very destroying, coming out. It makes it a lot easier to know that if you do feel a bit odd at sometimes, you know, that the person that you're having a drink with or something will not sort of wonder what on earth's gone wrong, or shut up, or leave it alone, you know. You can talk about it a bit easier. Yeah?
That's true, yeah.
In a way.
Yeah.
Mind you, it's an expensive friendship, isn't it?
Well, it is for me, definitely.
Brian Gregory bought an old rowing boat just before he died, and John has repaired it. He and Chris try it out for the first time.
You know, when he was killed on the road, and we sort of thought about it, and I thought, well, I'll finish the boat, and hopefully his mates will all be able to take it out when they feel like it.
Memories are what we treasure most. After watching a television film about the Playboy Club where they worked in the 70s, Gilly and Robin Davis remember the way they were.
I think we were different, weren't we?
Totally different. No children. That's the biggest thing. We hated children. They were sprogs.
What did Robin look like in those days?
He was a handsome brute. I fell in love with him. He was rather gorgeous. Still is,
nice.
Actually.
Yeah, in a sort of grey.
No, he was smart, very smart. I think his sartorial bit has graded since he came to Polperro.
You can't do it in Polperro. I mean, you know, the budgerigar, and you'd be a budgerigar, and I think everyone would peck you to pieces.
The fish and chip people from London, Steve and Maureen Byford, are certainly planning for a day of smart dressing, their son's wedding. But where should it take place? Barbados has been mooted.
I think it's a silly idea myself, anyway, Barbados. I really do.
Why is that then?
You just can't expect to take 100 people over to Barbados. It's ridiculous. I mean, you're going to get about 10% turn up.
Yeah.
Why don't you have it down here?
Why not? It's only 300 mile.
Where would they all stay then?
There's plenty of places around the village, got cottages, hotels. Get them all booked in everywhere. In September, it should be no problem. It'll be a good do.
And how will they get to the church?
Well, what we could do, we could get the right shuttle buses and take all the guests up in the buses.
That'd be a nice touch.
Novel idea.
Yeah.
Having worked all year to pay for her university education, Vanessa Jocelyn is off to Brighton to read law.
You've got your grandmother's rock cakes in here or something.
With so few jobs in Polperro, Vanessa may never again live in the village where she was born.
Yeah, quite sure.
Morning. Morning. Get Sammy there.
Well, you volunteered to help me out, didn't you? Yes, you did. I can't wait to get rid of me.
Her boyfriend, Roberto, wishes he hadn't volunteered to carry her cases.
You were never that small, Gilly.
I must have been. I used to wear it every day.
Yeah.
I could get to it, yes.
Oh, perish the thought. Steady on, steady on,
It
Gilly.
would disintegrate, I think. It's so old.
That's one for the museum, that.
This is Rodney.
Hello then.
All right.
You're the man that's going to carry it.
Polperro's parish council has decided to mark the new millennium by erecting a monumental cross on the village green. Chairman Murray Collins believes it will stand for the enduring values of village life.
Life in the village is everyone and everyone else. No one's ill without someone caring. Village life is you pull together. We do need some industry. We need a backbone of industry that our youngsters can still live in the community and possibly travel to work. It'll be a travel to work area, but that doesn't matter. At least you still retain your community and a living community rather than a visiting community.
Should we stop with David Pengelly's for a pasty?
That's a good idea, isn't it?
That way.
The model village has long been one of Polperro's main tourist attractions, and it's certainly a hit with the vicar's children. When it was first built in the 50s, almost every house in Polperro was locally owned.
If you go back 50 or 60 years, this place would have been a traditional Cornish fishing village. These days, a lot of the properties are rented out as holiday cottages, and an awful lot of the locals live up on top of the hill where there's a housing estate built, I don't know, probably in the 60s. So the heart of the village, in a sense, when all the tourists go, is quite empty and quite desolate.
Now, your village used to be in the centre of Polperro.
Sure.
It isn't now.
No, about, it must be 25 years ago now. The then vicar was moved up to the top of the hill where the new estates are. And
was that deliberate policy?
It was. The house that we had then wasn't particularly suitable as a vicarage. It was a little bit too small to have the office and somewhere to see people and hold meetings and what have you. The house we have now is a much better house. Unfortunately, it's not in the village. It would be far better, I think, if the house was in the village. It would be in the centre of the community.
Graham Jolliffe has been fishing since he was a boy. His family home was the greystone cottage that overlooks the harbour. It now belongs to someone from the home counties. 40 years ago, when Graham was young, there were about 80 local people living here in the Warren, most of them fishermen. Since then, it's lost its identity.
It's been fragmented. The locals, because of the very high prices, have all had to move out of the area, or out to the peripheries of the village, half mile to a mile away. Most of them are now living. There's only a couple of fishermen now left down the bottom of the village.
Graham's parents died. He and his brother had to sell the family cottage, as neither of them could get a big enough mortgage to buy the other one out.
So at the end of the day, you know, you are forced out. The prices down here are so ridiculous, you just cannot get a mortgage to buy these properties. No local can. And that's what's completely going to kill this village. Every picturesque place has the same problem. But it is not preserved for locals. Eventually, what's going to happen, there will be no locals down here living in any of these villages at all. So you'll have no one to service them, no one to build them or anything else, because the wages in these places are so ridiculously low compared to anywhere else, you can never be able to afford to buy here.
With this costing well over £100,000, almost every buyer is a stranger who will only be seen in the village when the sun shines. In winter, Polperro hibernates, much to the mortification of old fishermen like Bill Cohen.
Oh, this is all holiday that's here. But you've only got about 4 or 5 residents in these houses here.
Is that a bad thing, would you say?
Well, it's not a good thing. I don't think it's a good thing. I wish it makes the village dead in the winter. The village becomes a dead. I may say it's been said that if you had a double-barrel shotgun, you'd fire barrels at 4 o'clock in the afternoon in the winter, you'd never hit nobody.
Many of the dispossessed locals now live above Polperro on a modern housing estate called Carey Park. It's perfectly functional, but somewhat lacking in charm. Graham Jolliffe is at number 39. Bookkeeping and paperwork fill much of his spare time. Strangled by bureaucracy and smothered by European regulations, the coastal fisherman apparently has to bend the rules to make ends meet.
We have no choice. You cannot fish viably legally under the quota system. It is impossible to. That is if you want to live. At the moment, I cannot earn enough money this year to be able to afford a mortgage to buy a house even. Last year I did 9,000 quid, which there for 80 hours a week is £2 an hour average. That's before tax and stamp comes out. I'll be better off than running a business.
Well, why don't you change?
It is a way of life.
The remnants of these primordial jungles are the rainforests of today. They are home to half of all the animal species.
When Graham relaxes, it's usually in front of the television with his partner Wendy and her animals.
Fleeting
He's one of these people that puts everything into his work, and as things are at the moment, nothing out.
When they are seen, the animals are often
Obviously we have our ups and downs, but at the end of the day, if he's not in a very good mood or whatever because of his worries, I don't push him.
There is a widely held suspicion in Cornwall that the government intends to get rid of coastal fishing to produce a streamlined industry consisting solely of large trawlers. Such an agenda would leave Polperro as a theme park, whose prize exhibit would be the second oldest lifeboat afloat. But the village wants a future as well as a past.
The question, how do you
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Outside Polperro's museum, Father William's boss, the Bishop of Truro, hears the fishermen's grievances. Beaver Thomas would like to buy back cottages for local people to live in.
You've only got to get like 6 or 7 places over the course of 10 years back, just inhabited all year round, and that's a change already being reversed. But I reckon, just for instance, a lot of them only pay half the council tax.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, if they paid at least the same council tax, and seeing the council are happy to lose that anyway, and then to channel into a fund that will start to buy back these houses, because there's no doubt there is plenty of houses around here.
You've got to bring people back here. You've got to get people back. We're overwhelmed with holiday homes in the heart of the village. The population of school children has dropped because you've not got the families here.
No.
This is what you've got to do. You've got to get the families here. So, all right, the mother and father, or father may have to go to work to Plymouth or anywhere else, but the children would be here to bring them on. This is your trouble. You find out from your school, and I think you'll find there's 20 or 30 less than when the school was opened.
Well, you see,
it's dropping down.
Well, of course it is, but I think that's the point again, isn't it? That in the end, it will destroy the very thing that people come to see. Because they don't just come to see Polperro, the place. No. They come to see the people. By allowing to happen what is happening, it becomes yet one more theme park. And the only reason you have a boat is because, you know, you go out like Captain Birdseye, you know, as a kind of advert.
Yeah.
What has to happen? There has to be some kind of special levy in places like this.
Yeah.
So that people pay, as it were, over the top to come and stay in a place like this. And then that money which is over the top goes to the well-being and the sustaining of the community and the port, whatever it is.
Sure.
You see, I think that's where we need to get. And until we do that, it seems to me, we're bound to lose out. Now, who do we go to about that? Is it the tourist board? Because, I mean, in the end, they're the people, I think, that need to see that, you know, it's for their own good that we're doing it.
We're keen to buy from here, and I think we could probably, you know, I think you'd be busy enough working just for us.
New hope for Polperro's beleaguered fishing industry. One of the cottage owners, Adam Cope, runs a quality fish business in London, and he's hiring Tim Quartus to buy fish off the local boats and transport it to the capital. Direct sale guarantees the fisherman a better price and the customer a fresher product.
I know there's a decent kind of scallop trade in Polperro, so that's something we could do here.
My brother, he owns the scalloper here. He fishes the scalloper here.
Right, so, you know, we could do that direct.
Yeah, buy direct of him.
I'm sure there are other species that we can buy direct here as well.
It would make sense to do it here because you're bringing your operations to the primary product.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, you know, the big selling point for us is the fact that, you know, we want Cornish fish direct. And you know, we want to cut out as many middle people as we can.
Well, that's right. I mean, virtually, you'll be going straight from the boat to the shop.
By September, Tim Quartus was buying scallops and prime fish for Cope's food chain.
Hello, Tim. Hi, Daniel. What's it like?
That's it.
A bit slack. Just a touch. I'll take those off if you like.
Yeah, OK, mate.
Bound for London.
And this is where they ended up, in Cope's shop window in Fulham Road, handled by an appreciative Turkish shop assistant.
Now we're getting lots of fish from the Cornwall, like this squid, and also beautiful brill, sherbet, lemon sole, plaice, some beautiful mackerel, so fresh. And most of the fish much more cheaper than Blingsgate and fresher.
Meanwhile, a few doors away in Fulham Road, another Polperro drama is being enacted.
Yeah, 38.
Maureen Byford is helping her future daughter-in-law, Zoe Bunce, to choose her wedding trousseau.
I'll get the Joseph suit. I think it'd be nice and cool when I'm in Mauritius.
Lucky you, yeah. Yes, because it's pure.
So what does Zoe think of the mother-in-law?
Oh, she's fantastic. She's lovely. When you consider she's in quite a lot of pain all the time, she's just such a cheery person. I mean, she's riddled with arthritis, and you wouldn't think it. I mean, to be around her, you wouldn't know.
That was absolutely beautiful. Really looked lovely. Yeah, really. It was nice.
Back in Plymouth, Polperro's internet couple, Vern and Irina Oxley, couldn't be happier. Irina is pregnant and has just had her ultrasound scan.
How's the baby, Irina?
Oh, fine. Very, very active. Moving around all the time.
To quote the radiographer, a lively little beggar.
You got picture there?
Yes, yes.
And picture shows and don't disturb me. You see, this is...
There's the head.
Yeah, this
There's the hand. And we're not quite sure whether it's curled in the natural position or whether it's actually like this. And there's the spine. One of the clearest shots of this type that I've ever seen, actually.
More good news, Vern.
Oh, definitely. Definitely more good news. And now that Madam here has got her job.
Has she?
Yep. Starts next Monday.
As what?
A senior computer officer.
Where?
At Plymouth University.
But that's perfect, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very nice. Just, yeah, just I'm not sure how to cope with everything, but I hope I'll do, actually.
We're working on it.
This way, at the camera.
September the 25th, the Byford wedding day.
With no clothes on it.
Mark Puckey is catering for 120, his biggest ever buffet, and his partner Lindy helps him.
Needs to be some kind of centrepiece, doesn't it?
That's good, isn't it?
Mark, how do I count these? This is about what I'm doing.
Can you say fish and chips, Oscar? Can you say fish and chips? Right in there. That's better. Fine.
Yeah, lively up.
No.
That's it.
Come on, God. Help me. Just this once. I'm getting married in church.
No, you sort that out. All right, I've got to work here.
When did you come down?
Oh, he's going to point out the local attractions on the way.
The London wedding guests stream into Talent Church.
This is what we've got a close-up.
Hiya.
Father William will be conducting the service.
But don't worry, they can't start till you get there. And we've got the vicar on our side, so... No, that's fine. Just, that's lovely.
That's right. She did. She certainly did.
First, I am required to ask anyone who knows a reason why these persons may not lawfully marry to declare it now.
Hold hands. Keep going, bit more, keep going, keep going. Turn and put your lips together again. That's lovely. Good, hold it there. That's fine.
I'd like to thank everyone for being here today. And may I say, everyone looks absolutely lovely. But I think you would agree there's two people here today that look even lovelier. That's me and Dean. By now, you'd have noticed the TV crew filming the wedding. That's going to be shown on a Polperro TV programme next year. Unfortunately, I've had the word with the film director, and since clapping eyes on a few of us lot, it's now going to be shown on Crime Watch.
Steve Byford is one millionaire who doesn't mind spending his money on what he calls a good do. To end on an optimistic note, after a poor year's trading in the village, nobody went out of business. And there's always the hope that things will get better. On bonfire night, thanks to its fundraising, Polperro enjoyed its biggest ever fireworks display. £1,600 went up in smoke in 7 minutes. It was a fleeting glory.